Ms. Briscoe, you have Ms. Hawk's case?
Yes, Your Honor. This will be for a change of plea that will then go into open sentencing.
Okay, and that's on the assault charge under the 143 case number?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then both show cause matters as well, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Hawk, I have your guilty plea here, and it's to the charge of simple assault. Have you reviewed your guilty plea statement with Ms. Briscoe?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now you're waiving your legal rights by entering a guilty plea. So you're giving up the right to take the assault charge to trial and have the prosecutor prove that charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury. The right to call your own witnesses to court who could testify in your defense. The right to hear and question the witnesses who would testify against you. You're giving up the presumption of innocence on the charge and the right to appeal your conviction to a higher court. The maximum sentence is 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. And even though I will hear recommendations as to sentencing, you need to understand I'm not required to follow anybody's recommendation and could impose any sentence up to the maximum. And Ms. Hawk, did anybody make any threats or promises to get you to plead guilty to assault?
No.
And written here on your plea form, it says on or about May 29th, 2026 in Lacey, I intentionally assaulted Brian McKagan, which resulted in bodily harm. Is that your statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I will write here on the guilty plea that you're adopting this statement because your signature does not appear on the document. And I will also find that as factually sufficient and accept your guilty plea. All right, Ms. Eddy, then can I hear from the city as to your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. And I guess my remarks were to address all three cases because Ms. Hawk is also on probation with this court for 5A05388988, which was a malicious mischief case from October of 2025, as well as another assault case from April of this year, case number 6A0242955. On the malicious mischief case, she has, my calculation is 347 days of suspended time remaining. And on the assault from a few months ago, she has 342 days remaining. I guess I'd like to first give the court a brief summary of Ms. Hawk's out-of-state criminal history because the court may not be aware of that. So she has out of Utah a 2019 aggravated assault conviction. She also has from North Dakota a 2015 assault conviction. When I look at her other cases, combining that with her Washington convictions, that makes this now her sixth assault conviction. Additionally, out of North Dakota, she has a rather old contempt of court conviction for failing to appear also back in 2015. And her other convictions out of Utah or 2024 firearm possession purchased by a restricted person, a 2013 theft of a firearm or inoperable vehicle, 2023 retail theft, 2019 DUI and obstructing, as well as malicious mischief and theft by receiving and stolen property also in 2019. The city is asking for a harsh sentence today because, quite frankly, Ms. Hawk, we have tried the rehabilitation approach with Ms. Hawk and been unsuccessful. In her malicious mischief case, which just to give the court a factual background, a gentleman had picked her up and given her a ride. She seemed to be intoxicated. He decided he didn't want to have her in the car anymore. He stopped at a 7-Eleven in Lacey and was trying to get her to get out of the car because he didn't want her in the car anymore. He took her bags. She didn't want to get out. He took her bags, put them to the side, and she slashed one of his tires and then ran away from the scene. And when she was found and apprehended, she had 6 knives on her person. The second assault case involved an employee at Ace Hardware. The employee observed that she was trying to conceal items on her person in the store. The employee asked Ms. Hawk to leave the store. Ms. Hawk was resistant to that. At one point, the security person kind of kept following her as Ms. Hawk was trying to walk out the store. Ms. Hawk turns around and tries to push her. She misses. Ms. Hawk kind of spins around again, tries to go to the exit, but then turns around one more time and punches the employee and hits her on the side of the face. On the malicious mischief case, she was, because it was the reporting party had indicated that she was intoxicated, so her first sentence in that case had a component of substance abuse treatment, which she never successfully completed. The next case, we tried something new. We tried a mental health component. And again, she was not successful and never complied with that agreement. So quite frankly, it's Lacey's position. We've tried substance abuse issues to address it. We've tried mental health, and she hasn't followed through with either of those. So the current assault case is that Fred Meyer, it happened at Fred Meyer and Lacey, and Fred Meyer was close to closing for the evening. Ms. Hawk was trying to get into the store. 2 security officers were like, "Good night, go on your way, you can't come in." And on the video, you can see it. She just hauls off and swings and punches one of the security officers. I think that given her assaultive history and the fact that she committed this act while on not one, but 2 different district court cases, warrants a significant punitive sentence. So the city is requesting that all of her remaining suspended jail time on the malicious mischief be imposed. So that's 347 days. On the new simple assault case, the city is asking for 364 days with, I was going to ask for 90 days, so 274 suspended. And we'd ask that that be ordered to run consecutive. As to the other case, the city is not asking for any additional sanction on the April 2026 assault conviction. I think Ms. Hawk continues to pose a danger to this community when she shows complete disregard to the personal safety and is assaulting these people that she doesn't even know, and she refuses to address her treatment issues. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Grisco, what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, the city is asking the court to impose an extended consecutive sentence, and the defense is asking you to reject that and approach and instead exercise the full independent discretion granted to this court under RCW 9.92.080 subsection 3. Ms. Houck is competent, legally responsible, and the defense is not asking you to just excuse her conduct. However, her mental health is a critical mitigating circumstance. It explains the recurring nature of her behavior, and it demonstrates why additional consecutive incarceration will not prevent it. She's already served 60 days in custody, wants to move forward with her life. Her housing is up in the air, and she is in therapy with Melina online therapy, and she's wanting to continue to do that. But she's been in custody for 54 days and hasn't been able to continue with that. Previously, she indicated to me that the mental health support that she had was not the right medication. And now that she's gotten off of it, she's reported that she's feeling better, more stabilized than she had in a very, very long time. So we're asking for a 60-day sentence with the credit for the time that she served to run concurrently with her probation sanctions for 60 days each. An extended consecutive sentence is a dead end. It's flooding a vulnerable defendant with massive stacked jail time, and it's not going to improve public safety, nor will it address the underlying mental health crisis driving her behavior. Our proposal is the only one that balances immediate accountability with practical court oversight. And so we ask the court to keep her on the active probation on her older 2 matters most recent one will end in April of 2028. Um, Given the multiple overlapping probationary terms will create an administrative trap for repeated violations without advancing rehabilitation. So the court to do a 60-day sentence, to impose 60 days on each matter, to all three run concurrent, where it will allow the court to maintain oversight of her, and then also address the behaviors that are causing these incidents. Thank you.
All right, and Ms. Hauk, would you like to tell me anything before I sentence you?
Yes, Your Honor. I've had ample time to sit here while being in my penitentiary, to think about how I've behaved, and I'd also like to let you know, since she did take the time to go into some of the situations that have occurred in the past. And granted, most of the situations she brought up have occurred in the past over 10 years ago. Like, I'd like you to keep that in mind. The most recent ones, I personally am not. I grew up here when I was like a little kid, like till I was like 4, and then I moved. Okay, I came back thinking I could get to know my distant relatives. They turned out to be unhealthy, to say the least. They were not good supports for me. They were borderline abusive and sexually inappropriate. That put me out on the streets being here. So some of the situations I have been in have not been the healthiest. The one with the men in the night, where I was picked up with 6 knives and I stabbed a tire. I felt like stabbing a tire was better than having those men chase me down, because the situation in the car was not presented to the officers in a true way. No, I don't feel that I'm a public danger. I feel that when I am not with the right support system, I get myself into situations where I have to defend myself. The security guard, yes, it looks like I just punched him in the face, but he said, "I'll fuck you later," and that really upset me, and I punched him in the face. That wasn't right, and I know that, and I'd like to ask the judge for clemency for my behavior. I have a temper, and I have self-respect. I've been put out online in some really disrespectful ways, so I get certain men who have been on certain sites that I wasn't aware of treat me certain ways just out of the blue, and I react very negatively when people disrespect me in a sexual manner. And so it looks like a more habitual behavior, but Your Honor, I do not like behaving like this, and I just ask for clemency in these regards, and I would ask that you put me back on probation and give me one more chance. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, Ms. Hauk, your situation is difficult because this is your 4th assault conviction here in Thurston County in the last year, and the prosecutor has informed me that there are other out-of-state convictions also for assault. We have placed you on probation 3 times in Thurston County in the last year in order to try and address what the attorneys consider to be problems that you have, underlying issues that you have that might contribute to you committing these crimes. And they've been given to you as probation conditions: mental health treatment and drug and alcohol treatment. Now, you haven't followed through and completed those, and to any extent that you may have participated in them, they have not resulted in you changing your behavior, because you were assaulting somebody 54 days ago, the last time you were out in the community. Now, Ms. Hauk, the prosecutor's correct. That merits a strong response. The city of Lacey has an interest in the community being safe, and the city of Lacey has a lot of cases and a lot of responsibilities. A lot of people come to jail multiple times because they violate the law. But what's important is how they violate the law and what the impact is on the community. Now, it's one thing if a person is doing something like trespassing or, things like that that don't involve physical crimes against persons. But your crimes are physical crimes against persons. You're hurting people, Ms. Hauk, and you don't have any, Ms. Hauk, you need to let me do my part here. Okay, you've had your chance to address the court, and I'm going to ask you not to interrupt me, but I won't ask you a second time, okay? Now, your behavior here when you're committing these crimes is hurting people in the community. And that's why the prosecutor has asked the court to impose a severe punishment, or a comparatively severe punishment. Now, I'm going to add to that in addition to the crimes that have been outlined here, and in addition to the reasons that I believe it's appropriate to put you in jail, you're also wanted by a couple of other jurisdictions on warrants for unresolved crimes, including some felonies and including other violent crimes. I don't think it's realistic to believe that you're going to be available to complete probation in the community until you address those other charges that are still pending against you. So you're not appropriate for probation for multiple reasons that I've outlined here. You've asked me to put you back on probation. You've explained to me why you think that would work for you. However, I'm rejecting that because it has failed. It has failed recently. It's failed repeatedly. And I don't believe you're going to be available for probation because of other obligations you have to other courts around the state. So I'm not going to put you on probation for this current offense. Instead, your sentence for the current offense will be 364 days. You have credit for 54 days served on this offense. That leaves 310 days to serve on this case. Now you've got two other matters before the court currently that you're on probation for. With regard to number 6A242955, assault, there are 342 days that remain suspended on your sentence. I'm going to revoke 42 of those days. 42 of those days. And you'll serve that in addition to the 310 days that you were ordered to serve on the current case. So that's a total of 352 days of custody. With regard to your probation on 5A538988, malicious mischief, in light of the length of your sentence and the length of your probation violation, I'm not going to impose any additional probation violation time. Now, probation will continue on those cases until it expires, which is to say that when you get released, you're still going to have probation obligations that you're going to have to complete. All right, that's how, that is the sentence of the court. And that will conclude your case.
Did you hear that scream?
To the court.
Listen.
And that will conclude your case.
Yeah. That was a scream. That was a scream. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, do you think she has just a wee bit of a temper issue? Just maybe a tiny bit of a temper issue? I don't know, possibly. Just maybe. That might just be at the heart of what's going on. Maybe in the next 365 or so days, she can find some programs. Washington. Oh, in the Nisqually County Jail. Oh God. What You ask, what does it take to get to get stuck in Nisqually County Jail for a year? Well, apparently attacking 6 people after being on probation multiple times, that'll do it. Man, that was crazy.